Dire team ban.
Welcome back, everyone, to our third game of our best of 5 between Elite Wolves and compLexity. We currently have compLexity leading 2-0. And this could be our last game if compLexity
remaining.
take it. That's it. They will be the champions
5 seconds
of the
remaining.
Dota 2 Canada Cup Season 6 as we're in the grand finals. And Elite Wolves, they've dug themselves into a little bit of a pit here, and I'm not really sure how they're going to dig themselves out of it. As all our big 3 heroes that we think are going to be contested between these two teams, the Lone Druid, the Beastmaster, and the Vengeful Spirit, have all been either banned or picked up. As we now see that Lone Druid making its way into the initial bans. Elite Wolves deciding to get rid of that. One of the key heroes that we haven't seen so far is the Bat Rider get picked up by Elite Wolves, and I think since it's made it through, we might actually see the Smash Bat Rider get picked up in the second round by Elite Wolves, but we'll have to see.
Reserve time.
As let's actually cover our bans and our picks here. First of all, guys, once again, I'm Niz. Thanks for joining me. As no, Elite Wolves actually going to go with the Void. But the bans, we've got the Wisp and the Lone Druid, the new addition to Elite Wolves opening bans, and compLexity went with the same 2 that they've gone with for the other 2 games in the series, the Enchantress and the Beastmaster. The only real difference is the fact that they are now on the Radiant side. We saw both game 1 and 2 with compLexity playing on their favored Dire side, so this time it gets swapped around.
10 seconds
As for our initial
remaining.
picks, we had Vengeful Spirit and Death Prophet get picked up by Elite Wolves. Earth Spirit
5
and
seconds
Gyrocopter
remaining.
getting picked up by compLexity. Although compLexity really they don't have the
Reserve time.
best win rate with the Gyrocopter. They sure have played it a lot, and it's one of their signature heroes. And when they do get it going, it fits perfectly with their kind of, gank, group up early, take towers, and just knock them down and fight. And when you're not fighting, you're controlling the map, and you're just taking control of the game. And we're going to see compLexity pick up that Gyrocopter and go after what they know. As we've seen them play it a couple different ways. They either run it they primarily run it in mid with Limp playing it, but they also have the opportunity to put it in the safe lane on Chessie. But they've since picked up another interesting hero. So first we'll get through the second round of bans, as we had the Invoker and the Zeus getting banned out by
10
Elite Wolves.
seconds remaining.
compLexity banned out the Brewmaster and the Mirana.
5 seconds
A bit
remaining.
surprised by the Mirana ban, but I still think
Reserve
maybe
time.
they didn't feel banning the Bat Rider would have been good
compLexity's
because the
turn to
Void was
pick.
always there, and then of course they didn't ban the Void because the Bat Rider would have been there, and 2 heroes that are pretty much going to fill roughly the same role early on. As for that interesting pick that compLexity picked up, it's the Tiny. Now normally they run the Tiny with the Wisp, and we know compLexity with the Wisp
10
is so
seconds
deadly.
remaining.
So it's no surprise that it's been banned out immediately every single
5
game.
seconds
But it's
remaining.
interesting that they're picking up this Tiny. Now they're going to add on a Lich, so we've got the
Dire
Earth Spirit and the
team
Lich
back.
support duo. And I'm guessing this is just going to be mid Gyrocopter, safe lane Tiny, and then they're just going to wait to pick up their off laner. And the Earth Spirit probably will... This is interesting, because typically you have your Lich
compLexity's
do
turn
more
to
of your
ban.
off-lane duty, kind of XP starving an enemy hero. And maybe they're actually going to keep that safe lane and XP starve the Faceless Void. And just leave it there with the Tiny and control the lane. Then they'll have the Gyrocopter in the
10
mid.
seconds
They'll have
remaining.
more of a standalone hero in the top lane.
5
And have the
seconds
Earth
remaining.
Spirit kind of hovering around mid. And Elite Wolves are kind of used to that, or they're sniffing it out as they ban out the Darkseer, a hero that compLexity would easily be able to leave in the top lane. I think compLexity ban out the Terrorblade, a hero that they brought out in the last series against Elite Wolves in the winners bracket finals, but they didn't really find too much success with it. Elite Wolves is just
10
Elite Wolves
seconds
and Elite
remaining.
Wolves units the same. Yeah, it's They're just Elite Wolves.
5 seconds remaining.
Skywrath Mage is going to be the pick for Elite Wolves. So it's going to
Complexity's
be
turn to pick.
a core Vengeful Spirit, which we have seen Elite Wolves play quite a bit of. So Ewo will be on that. Then we've got Smash playing the Faceless Void. Then we're going to have Van, Death Prophet. Now who's going to play the Skywrath?
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
I'm guessing that's going to be an M-God Skywrath Mage.
Reserve
Masoku
time.
Witch Doctor. I have no idea what complexity is going to pick here, so I'm just kind of trying to buy time. Darkseer would have been the obvious pick. But beyond that, a lot of the
10
core
seconds
heroes that,
remaining.
you know, you'd put on Swindle Melons in that offlane are gone. Maybe you go with something like
5
his
seconds
Bristleback.
remaining.
I'm not sure if it's
Tide
going to
Hunter.
do much for it. Oh, the Tide Hunter. All right, a hero that's seen a little bit of a resurgence now, getting played in the offlane once again. Actually, while we were waiting for this game to go up, there's Jenkins is playing it. He's playing it offlane in a pub. But good to see the Tide Hunter coming back into the game, and I like it. It's once again one of those heroes that you can just leave in the top lane by itself. It's going to be able to get its XP, especially against some of the heroes on Elite Wolves. Like that tri-line, it's actually very, very squishy. Vengeful Spirit, Witch Doctor, Skywrath Mage, there's not much HP to it at all. And a lot of it is just going to be right-click damage. Not a lot of burst potential. And Tide Hunter, he's great against that. You give him a shield, you get
10 seconds remaining.
his passive, whatever the heck the thing's called, the third ability. And
5 seconds
you get that, and he
remaining.
just gets so tanky against right-click damage. And he'll just be able to stay up there in the top lane, and they won't really be able to harass him out. And I'm guessing we will see that the Lich safe lane, and then the
Prepare for battle.
Earth Spirit in the mid lane. But I guess we'll have to wait and see exactly how Complexity choose to play that. But I believe that's probably how they're going to go about it. As for our teams and our players, on our Radiant side, not the Dire side, our Radiant side is going to be Complexity, as they don't get their favored Dire side. But it's going to be Swindle Melons playing that Tide Hunter. We got Limp on the Tiny. Chessie's going to be playing the Gyrocopter. Z-Freak on Earth Spirit, who recently got nerfed a couple days ago. Maybe it was a little bit more than a couple days ago. But still very, very potent. As Aghanim Scepter is really kind of a vanity, or a luxury item. So not the biggest nerf to him. But a nerf once he eventually gets that. And Hanskin's going to be playing the Lich, but we've got some aggression here from
30
Elite Wolves as they're
seconds
going to
to
look to start this game off with a bang, but it looks like they're not going to be able to find anyone here from Complexity. So we'll go on with introducing them. As on our Dire side, we've got Elite Wolves, we got Smash playing the Faceless Void, M-God's going to be on the Skywrath Mage, Masoku on the Witch Doctor, Ewo is going to be on the Vengeful Spirit, and Van is going to be on the Death Prophet. And we'll have an aggressive ward over
The
mid,
battle begins.
getting cast here by Elite Wolves. Interesting that Complexity actually placed an Observer ward down towards the bottom rune. And now we're going to have the somewhat Magic Bush ward coming out from Elite Wolves. Of course, the layout of this jungle has changed quite a bit, but that's the old kind of Magic Bush style Observer ward that we know and love. But looks like I was completely wrong with how Complexity have chosen to lane this, as they actually decide to put their Tiny in the mid lane with the Lich. So they're going to starve the XP of the Death Prophet, which, once again, I think is actually very effective. As Elite Wolves have actually gone with the 2-1-2 lane setup, so they've got their Void and their Skywrath Mage in the bottom lane, and they're just going up against the Gyrocopter for now. So I expect Complexity to rotate their lanes around a little bit to help out this Gyrocopter. As for the top lane, it is going to be that safe lane Vengeful Spirit farming up, and the Witch Doctor is going to be up there babysitting. And the off lane for Complexity is going to be the Tide Hunter, and we expect the Earth Spirit to be roaming around. Or actually, I don't know how Complexity are going to chooses around. His Limp's going to get a nice stun off onto Van, tosses him back to the tower. Unfortunately, there are still creeps alive, so the tower is actually attacking the ranged creep, but it looks like Van is going to go down for our first blood as the Frost Nova? Frost Blast gets cast there by Handskin. And first blood goes the way of compLexity. Actually, both of our previous games, first blood has actually gone to Elite Wolves. But this time it goes to compLexity as they're already well on their way to for a good start here for Game 3, as they just need to win this and they have won the Dota 2 Canada Cup. Whereas Elite Wolves, they basically need to win 3 straight.
Illusion.
MGod will pick up an Illusion Rune and start making his way down towards the bottom, but immediately gets pinged out. Z-Freak doing a little bit of pulling here. He's going to try to pull this creep camp down and meet up with it, but it's going to get interrupted by the Skywrath Mage Illusions.
Are fortified.
Chessie really hasn't been able to get much CS down here in the bottom lane. He's at 6-0. 7-0 as he gets one there. But now with Z-Freak rotating down here, they will look to get some more CS up on this gyrocopter. But Smash isn't actually that far ahead. 10-4 right now in terms of his CS. But compLexity do need to be a little bit wary of Smash having a good start. When he can very easily run away with the game if he's given a good start in terms of XP and gold. I like what compLexity's doing in this mid lane, really starving Van and setting him back. As we've kind of seen a recent resurgence in the last week or two of this Death Prophet coming back in the game, as I actually missed a kill in the bottom lane as compLexity have managed to get one on MGod. And as I'm saying that, I missed one in the top lane as Masoku and Van get a kill, and Ewo, excuse me, get a kill there on Swindlemelons. But going back to that point I was making about the Death Prophet, we've seen this resurgence of Death Prophet coming back into the meta, and we've seen so much pressure getting applied to Death Prophets, and it happened a lot in the Canada Cup, as we just kept seeing these Death Prophets dying over and over and over again in the mid lane, and just not having that great start that really helps define Death Prophet as the hero that she is. She's meant to have a good laning, and then coming out of the laning phase and going into the mid game is when she really dominates, when her exorcism comes online and she really helps her team knock down towers. It's a hero that actually fits really well with compLexity's style, yet it's still somewhat surprising that they don't play it all that much. Although they do play it a little bit with Limp, but we haven't seen really too much rotations in terms of going for the ganks on the Death Prophet. And of course, as I say, that Z-Freak rotates in. But compLexity have gone with a little bit of a different style, using the Lich in the mid lane to starve the XP of that Death Prophet and really set her back so that she doesn't have access to those early levels, which is really what makes her super effective. Because once again, Swindlemelons has died in the top lane, and it's kind of the opposite of what I was saying coming out of the draft, is that Tidehunter with this Kraken Shell ability is going to get so damn tanky that they're not going to have enough damage to bring him down, but he's been caught out a few times already. So we'll look to see if maybe Swindlemelons will be able to survive a little bit more up there in the top lane, or whether compLexity will just have to find another way to get this Tidehunter back in the game. And one of the ways that you can do that is by using camps and stacking camps and allowing the Tidehunter to get back in the game that way, because he's able to jump into the jungle. And he can farm it because he's got the AoE from his Anchor Smash, and he's able to tank it up because of the points in the Kraken Shell. So this needs a couple stacks from a support, and he's able to clear that up. But of course, the enemy team always knows that. And Elite Wolves will look to kind of prevent that, as they've already got this Observer Ward here kind of overlooking the area, so they can keep track of the stacks there, but also keep tracks of where Z-Freak's moving around if he's up in the top lane. Z-Freak will actually get a kick off onto the stone here, onto Van, but then they're going to switch and go for Smash instead, but they're not going to be able to find a kill on either of those targets before they're forced to back away. Elite Wolves won't actually completely abandon this play. They're going to stick around. So they're about to hit level 6 on Smash. They'll have Chrono available to them, but once again, Swindlemelons is pushed up with the creep wave, and now he gets wrapped around behind by Iwo and Masoku. As he's down to 200 HP, he'll try to juke into the trees.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
He won't really be able to TP out here, but he's using one of these new paths, and he's going to try to eat his way out with the Iron Talon, but eventually he will go down. Meanwhile, there's that battle that was brewing in the bottom lane. It looks like it has come to fruition as MGod and Van both going down there as compLexity get the upper hand there. As Smash is now kind of by himself. Still hasn't hit level 6. He'll hit it now as he'll time walk away.
Dire's
But
middle tower is under
we'll
attack.
just hold on to that Chronosphere for probably those teammates to respawn. MGod will TP back down to the bottom lane. I expect probably Van to go back towards mid. Now somehow Van still hasn't found level 6, and yeah, we know that they were starving him of XP with the Wisp or with the Lich sacrifice in the mid lane, and with a couple deaths, it's really hurt him. But he's not even level 6 now, and take a look at Limp. He's already level 7, almost level 7.5. That's a huge advantage there for compLexity. And that's, I mean, Death Prophet needs her levels. She needs to be able to hit level 6 and get Exorcism, because that's what defines the hero. When that hero has Exorcism is when she's really strong, and that's why you pick Death Prophet. If she doesn't have Exorcism, you'd never pick her, because that's her strength in the team fight, and that's what also helps her bring down towers. So if you're able to delay it by as much as compLexity has, that's going to give you a huge advantage and basically make Death Prophet almost not really a hero yet on the map. Notice Swindlemelons has gone into the jungle, and he's starting to do a little bit of jungle farming there, and that'll help give him some gold, but also give some space to Z-Freak, so he's able to sit up here in the top lane and get some XP. He's only just about to hit level 5, as he's been roaming around as a support. As we see Masoku, as he's been kind of sticking up in the top lane, is about to hit level 6, so that roaming has cost Z-Freak about a full level. But you take a look at Handskin, he's about to hit level 6. He's just slightly ahead. In fact, he'll hit level 6 there. So he's just barely ahead of Masoku. And MGod's probably about the same. Yeah, he's about to hit level 5. So in terms of the supports, we actually have a pretty even game in terms of their XP. But obviously the huge difference maker is going to be in the mid lane. And look at this, they've actually rotated Chessie up to the top lane. You typically do this right around the time Gyrocopter hits 6 or soon after. You get a TP on him and you go TP to a different lane, smoke up, and try to use your call down to get some kills. But looks like Elite Wolves have completely read this. Instead, they make a move towards the bottom lane. They get the kill on the Lich, who was just left farming down there in the bottom lane. So good counterplay there from Elite Wolves. Worked out well for them. They got the kill.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Looks like it's going to create a situation where we're going to have a trade of towers.
Radiant's
Elite Wolves will get that bottom tier 1, and now compLexity only halfway through this top tier 1, but it would be very, very risky for them to TP in with Ravage available for Swindlemelons.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
So it will just be a trade of those tier 1 towers.
Dire's top tower has fallen.
Now everyone will kind of start making their way towards the mid lane, and we might have a clash. Maybe not with Masoku showing in the mid lane, as there are Limp and Handskin above him. No, they're going to go in. Limp's going to run on in hasted. They're going to stun, toss Van, and they need one more attack, and they're not going to find... Oh, Limp did get outside the Chronosphere from Smash, and now he's actually just going to have to run away. Z-Freak's going to come in, so he's going to roll forward, and they will drop Van. But Handskin's going to go down, as now Z-Freak's going to get chased down by Smash. Smash actually going to leap forward, not going to find him, but they will get the kill anyways. Limp gets engaged on by Iwo, but Limp just tosses him right back to Swindlemelons, who will greet him with a Ravage. It's a very separated team fight there, but it looks like compLexity have just barely come out ahead. Show fight recap unfortunately doesn't really help us there. But it was an advantage for complexity there. They won 2-3. As now we're going to have some respawns, and Elite Wolves going to come back to defend their Tier 1 tower here. Looks like they will be able to do so successfully, but here comes complexity. We've got Limp chugging his bottle there, getting his HP back up. He just picked up his Blink Dagger on the back of the last fight.
Middle tower has fallen.
Take a look at Swindle Mounds. He's got a buckler. Basically, just once he delivers that recipe, he'll have the buckler completed. As he's on his way to building a mech. And then eventually GG boots. Oh my goodness, Van is so far behind in this game right now. Doesn't even have his phase boots completed.
I'll take that.
He is level 6, but you really need those levels on the Death Prophet. Yeah, like their safe lane support, Masoku, he's already level 7. He's ahead of the mid. So Elite Wolves have really fallen behind here. In complexity, they obviously had a game plan, and it was to shut down the Death Prophet, and they did a really good job of doing so there. As MGod and Ewo are both smoked up here trying to go for maybe a kill or on aggressive warding duty. They get scouted out by Z-Freak, and then Z-Freak just keeps chasing, and he actually feeds them a kill. As he was chasing, but he didn't have any teammates nearby.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
And now Elite Wolves will look to keep pushing and go for this mid-tier 1. Swindlemones is nearby. He doesn't have Ravage for another 30 seconds, though. And Elite Wolves are definitely going to know the timing on that. Smash will initiate with the Chronosphere. As they will not bring down that Tidehunter. He's so close. 50 HP. And they will bring him down with the Skywrath Mage. As Chessie's going to get tossed on in. He's going to land on top of Ewo. Z-Freak going to roll on in as well. As now Ewo will swap Masoku back and say, here, kill him instead. And now Ewo tries to TP out, but he won't be able to do so. As Limp tosses him in the air, and then he gets an avalanche off as he stops MGod's TP. So complexity all of a sudden get 4 kills there. And Elite Wolves just get the 1 on the Tidehunter, and that one was so close to not being a kill either. As the, I always forget the name, Arcane Bolt from the Skywrath Mage was just kind of chasing down Swindlemones as he was running away. He dropped down to 60 HP. And he just needed, well, I guess he needed a lot more than just 60, but yeah, that was the last bit of damage that was flying in the air. If that didn't kill him, there was nothing else that was going to kill him. But now Elite Wolves, it's not looking good for them. They need to find a way to get themselves back in this game, and Van is just so far behind. And with Limp having such a great start, he's just able to jump in and blow someone up with the tiny combo. And then on top of that, Chessie's, it's a gyrocopter. He's always scary. So he's able to do a lot of damage. And then Ravage is also very, very strong as well. And we're going to have a pause here from complexity. And this is an interesting time as Elite Wolves have just smoked up and moved into the Roche Pit. But we'll resume the game, and it doesn't actually look like complexity is going to come in and contest this. I don't even think they're aware. Because Limp's actually in Viz right now, and they don't have any detection down. Wow, he could actually wander into the pit and actually steal this Aegis. If they had any idea, but they don't. He might actually be close enough to blink into Roche Pit, but he's not going to. That would be pretty risky. So Roche goes down, and Aegis will go to the Void. Is Limp going to toss a creep and then try to blink away, but now he's going to get caught as he'll try to TP out, but he's going to get swapped by Ewo, and that was a greedy play from Limp. And he is going to pay the price. That was just a super greedy play. He would have been fine if he didn't toss that, but so greedy, so greedy. 3 creeps is all he did that for. And it definitely cost him more than that. We move on over to our net worth, and you can see in the top left that Limp is still the leader in terms of net worth, given even with that death. Chessie and Hanskin going to try to chase down Van. They also have Swindlemelons coming in as well. Chain Frost going to get thrown. That's further slowed down Van, and they will get the kill.
Stay out of my skies!
As Van's still just not able to get in this game.
Radiant's
Now we're going to have
tower is under attack.
Midas getting picked up by Hanskin on the Lich as they pretty much secure all points of this game. They know that going later on they're going to be fine. As Zefreak going to roll on in. Limp, Swindlemelons are down here as well. They've already killed M-God. They're going to get a kill on Ewo. And you have to keep in mind that Venge is a core Venge, and every death that Venge has like that is just further setting back Elite Wolves. It's not a support. It's a core, and we've got action in the mid lane. A Smash has caught Chessie with a Chronosphere. That's a valuable pick off for Elite Wolves. But looks like compLexity will get one back because they're going to catch Masoku. It's actually going to be a killing spree for Hanskin. So let's take a look at our gold graph, and it's about a 4,000 gold lead for compLexity. Is they're going to... That's probably going to update and go a little bit higher than that. Probably going to pass over the 5,000 gold mark, but it is a lead nonetheless for compLexity. XP a little bit higher at 7,500. But once again, compLexity, they're very much so in control of the game early on. We have seen in all of our games so far that Elite Wolves have managed to come back in the game a little bit and catch back up. But of all the games, I think this one's probably going to be the most difficult one for them to actually come back and claw their way back into this game. And I'm looking around, I'm trying to figure out what the ticket is. How are they going to be able to get back in this game? And I don't know. Any kind of big item that's going to come out for them isn't really going to do it just yet. compLexity is just so far ahead, and then it's so difficult already fighting into a Ravage. You got a mech as well. You do have a Chronosphere to help counter it.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I don't know. I think you can just lose so many heroes so quickly because of the damage that comes out from the Gyrocopter and from the Tiny, and then on top of that, Chain Frost. You always have to respect it.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack. Dire's top tower is under attack.
Doesn't have another 5 seconds before he's going to have Chrono. Ravage is going to fly. It's going to hit 4 heroes. This is really a great Chronosphere, but he's not able to do it. Instead, he goes down and he'll have to respawn with Aegis. But there's going to be no one left alive on his team, as the only one left alive was Van, and he TP'd up to the top lane. Smash goes down. It's another 4 hero kills going the way of compLexity. As yeah, Van gets out of there, and that's great for Elite Wolves, or great for Van, but not great for Elite Wolves because they lost 4 heroes. And that's just drums getting completed 19 minutes in by Van. And that is the Death Prophet that is so far behind. Look at how far down the net worth. The poorest of all the cores. And Hanskin's getting close to passing the mid-hero from Elite Wolves.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
There you go, the bottom tier 1 goes down.
Bottom tower has fallen.
Looks like Hanskin's going forward to place an Observer Ward, but he'll back with the rest of the team. We got a 4 staff picked up by M-God. We also have drums on Ewo. Masoku just has a staff of wizardry. Van, we already mentioned him picking up the drums. And Smash, what's his progress towards his Aghanims? I'll bet another 1,500 gold and he'll have that. Take a quick look at compLexity. We've already got the Arcanes and the Mech up on Swindles, but I think there's more. Yeah, it's the Guardian Greaves recipes coming in on the Courier. So he'll have GG Boots. Chessie, he's got his Treads, Drums, Ogre Club, and 2,900 gold. So whether that'll be a BKB or an SNY is we'll find out shortly. Limp has his Blink Aghanims. Hanskin, we already mentioned that. Midas, but hasn't picked up anything yet with it. He's got 1,700 gold though. But Zefreak, Arcanes earn 1,200 gold. So You can tell there's just so much gold and so many more items on complexity right now. And Smash, oh, he was getting close. He was getting close to his Aghanims, and then with that death, he goes right back to where he was when we just checked in. There's the Ravage coming off cooldown for complexity, as expect
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
them to get their Tidehunter involved in this mid push.
Dire's structures are fortified.
This Glyph's gonna get used, preventing this tier 2 push. Swindle actually pings himself out on the map, letting his team know where he is, but there's an engage here as Ewo is getting a swap off, and he's gonna trade himself for Limp, and I think that's definitely the kind of trade that they're willing to take. Core for a core. I think that's fine for them, as they're so far behind. And now look at this, Van's going on the offensive here. He might be able to get a kill on Chessie, and he does. So he's going to trade himself for a core. Maybe not. If Swindles is able to go down in this Chronosphere, Van's going to live. And Smash with the well-timed bash will keep Van alive. But Z-Freak and Handskin will actually not bring down Masoku. And actually, he's going to tick out to the urn. No, he's not. 8 HP. Oh my goodness, these Elite Wolves are just barely surviving in these team fights. And now Z-Freak goes down to 19 HP. I'll try to TP out. Smash again with the bash. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? 17%? It's actually 15%, but that's not the meme. My goodness. Smash, please. That look. I guess it's skill, it's calculated, right? It's just like Lone Druid Entangles. Oh my goodness, that fight. Are you kidding me? Turns out to be a complete disaster for complexity. And you know what? I think that all started with one big mistake, and that was I don't know who to blame, and I think it's a team mistake, but Swindlelones was here doing the Ancient Camp. Meanwhile, his team was pushing the Tier 2 tower. And then Swindlelones stuck around to complete that Ancient Camp, rather than just going and meeting up with his team. So there was an engage before Swindlelones was able to get there. And had he been there, had he just gotten the Ravage off, that would have been a completely different fight. But he got there very, very late, and it ended up costing them. And then, well, we saw this ridiculousness where Van just barely survived there because they needed to focus down Swindlelones while he was still in the Chronosphere, and then it turned out they didn't have enough damage to do so. So that the Chronosphere is going to wear off, Swindlelones was just going to be able to press his E button, get the Anchor Smash off, and he'll be able to kill Van. But right at the end of the Chronosphere, Smash got a bash, and Swindlelones wasn't able to do anything, and he just died.
Radiant's top tower
that bash proc, my goodness. Well, Complexity will get that tier 3, but they're not going to be able to keep pushing it racks.
Where's my pension?
But they're averaging almost a kill a minute here. Elite Wolves, despite winning that last fight, are still very much against the wall, and they're still trying to get themselves back in this game. Let's take a quick look at our gold graph. And it actually hasn't hit the 10k mark just yet. Hovering around 8k in favor of Complexity. 10,000 XP. Z-Freak, he's in Viz, standing on top of Van. He doesn't have any team support yet. So he's actually not going to keep chasing Van towards that the bottom rune location, and that's actually him just making sure that he's not walking into a risky situation where there could be a sentry ward. Because if he walks into that situation, he's in Viz, and all of a sudden he walks into a sentry ward and he just gives Elite Wolves a kill, there's no need for that. He's just stalking a Death Prophet that he doesn't have any support to kill anyways. So yeah, he's giving his team knowledge, but risking your own life isn't really worth. But Smash and God Masoku have gone on a little bit of a journey here, and they found Z-Freak and Chessie. And they just immediately blow up that Earth Spirit. Chain Frost's going to actually fly in. It's going to land on Smash, who tries to TP out, but he gets stun tossed. And it turns out to be an Earth Spirit for a Void and a Witch Doctor. So Elite Wolves do get a kill, but ends up costing them 2 heroes because they had no way of escaping. Does buy a little bit of space for Ewo and Van to get a little bit of farm though. Ewo is actually up to 2,700 gold right now. And what is Van at? 1800. He's already got his soul booster. So Octarine's going to be finished soon. But now, on the back of those kills, compLexity just go right into Roche Pit. And despite the fact that they're on Radiant side, they are going to get their Aegises that they always seem to get every game. And that's why they really prefer the Dire side, their ability to go and take Roche a lot easier.
Radiant's bottom tower has been denied. Roshan has
we'll get
fallen to the Radiant.
And the Aegis will go on top of the Tiny. Who's picked up his Hyperstone. Jesse with the BKB. It's down to 9 seconds. Oh, actually 8 seconds, excuse me. Mithril Hammer's been picked up by Ewo. Has Van finished the Octarine? Not yet. There we go. The AC gets picked up by Limp now as well. And
Dire's bottom
man,
tower
compLexity are
is
looking
under
so
attack.
strong. Got the Blink. GG boots up on Swindle Mounts. Z-Freak's got the Veil. Limp's got that AC.
Dire's bottom tower
Aghanim's
has
Blink.
fallen.
Even an Aegis. Chessie's got the BKB. Yasha. They're just looking so strong. The only thing that they could use is the Aghanim Scepter on the Lich, but they're not going to need it. They blow up the Vengeful Spirit to start things off, and oh my goodness. Elite Wolves almost got Chessie there, but not able to do so. This time Smash goes down instead.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
And they do have an instant buyback from Ewo, but they're not able to do much of anything as Limp just jumps in, blows up their Death Prophet, and they do have buyback available on Van, but they're not going to use it as it looks like they're just going to tap out of this game. Or not. Still in it. Haven't GG'd out just yet, but it's looking more and more likely that compLexity are going to be your champions for the Dota 2 Canada Cup. And from the very start, you had to say compLexity was one of the favorites to win the Dota 2 Canada Cup.
Dire's
And
bottom barracks
with
has fallen.
how the Shanghai qualifiers went,
Dire's
you have to think
structures are fortified.
Digital Chaos and Archon. Certainly Digital Chaos was probably one of the favorites going in as well.
Dire's
We had to
middle
say
barracks
Archon was going to be
has
one of the other big favorites.
Dire's middle
And
barracks are
we
under
said
attack.
goodbye to them
Barracks
quite a
has
while
fallen.
ago in the playoffs. In fact, Archon got eliminated in the first round of the playoffs. And it's teams like Elite Wolves and Infamous that Infamous went on an incredible tear and they got all the way, ended up finishing third with a loss in the losers bracket finals to compLexity. And Elite Wolves, they just put on a clinic pretty much against everyone to get to the grand finals. They beat compLexity 2-0 in the winners bracket finals to get here. And they just played some fantastic Dota. Unfortunately, today's not going to be their day, as now they're going to lose Smash and compLexity. It's almost just a formality now, as they're just finishing the game here. As Elite Wolves, they're not going to tap out until the game's over. But I'm sorry, I think the game is over, and there it is. GG will get called, so we will have compLexity take the best of 5, 3 games to 0.
Is under attack.
As we had some fantastic Dota. Game 1 was just incredible. It was so thrilling. And then Game 2 was, it had a little bit of slow moments, but for the most part it was another great game of Dota. Game 3 was a little bit more one-sided, as compLexity took that in pretty dominating fashion. But there's a lot to learn and to read into about this game. Certainly how compLexity were able to manage the Death Prophet in the mid lane and just keep Van down and just put him so far behind that Van was never really in a position where he could do much in terms of the game and make a big impact. Yeah, he was the biggest, most farmed hero on his team at 143 last hits, but you take a look at that gold per minute and he's actually behind Smash by 5 GPM. Despite the fact that Smash was after the laning phase, trying to move around, trying to get the chronospheres off and stuff like that, while Van was just struggling trying to find farm. But man, compLexity, honestly, I can't even really pick someone out on their team in that last game that had a good performance. I felt like all of them played some just really solid Dota. Swindlemones had a little bit of a shaky start in that off lane. He died a few times, but honestly, sometimes it's okay to die as an offlaner because yeah, you know, if you just look at the one death, you say, oh, well, that was avoidable. But it's also, if you're not taking those risks, then there's no reason for the enemy team to even devote heroes to be in that position. And then if they're not up there, then they're doing something else somewhere else on the map. So a death like that every now and then is actually okay for an offlaner. But still, he died a few times early on there. So maybe he could have cleaned that up a little bit. But yeah, it was just a really great day of Dota. You know, I thought compLexity and Elite Wolves played some really good Dota. Elite Wolves, you know, they were a little bit outclassed in that third game, but it was a great day. So that's going to wrap it up for the Dota 2 Canada Cup. I've casted every single game, and this last series I kind of faded a little bit. Not really feeling too hot right now, but well, it's actually the opposite. I am feeling very hot right now. But yeah, I'll look to keep casting stuff in the future. I don't know what my next thing that I'm going to be casting is. I'll probably just cast some of the Semi-Pro Cup series on Sundays. As that's kind of something that I'm used to casting in the past, but I'll look to find another tournament for us to cast, and we'll get back to casting some more of these great teams. But that's going to wrap it up for tonight's cast, and that's going to wrap it up for the Dota 2 Canada Cup. So once again, guys, as always, thanks so much for stopping by, checking out the channel, and enjoying the games with me. I'm Niz, and definitely hit that follow button on twitch.tv/NizCast to come back and check out any further casts that I do. But that's going to be it for me tonight, guys. Everyone else, have a great night, and have some good games.